sphere on the tree of life. She deals with the imagination. If you don't have no imagination, image, magic, you're going to have a hard time making it manifest. And it's also linked to the life force. Oshun is necessary. Oshun is said to be the wife of Orunmila.
Sweet water.
The sweetness. We have to include sweetness. Sweetness has to be included in our evolution. Then you can put the R in the front. Ashe?
Ashe.
Okay? There's a story about how all the Orunmila and all the Orishas were gathered on earth after they were sent to earth by Olodumare. There was a woman among them. They ignored this woman. They overlooked her because they figured she was too young. What they did not realize is that she was the embodiment of the one ingredient that Olodumare added to creation to make it all count. Sweetness, imagination, and civility. So, when all the deities begin to ignore Oshun, things begin to not go right for them. We started having disasters. Nobody sacrifices or rituals were working. Nothing worked. So all the deities went to Olodumare and asked Olodumare, what's going on? My sacrifices ain't working. Nothing is holding up. Everything I do is failing. And Olodumare asked them, where's Oshun? They went, they found Oshun. They apologized to Oshun so she could come back. Oshun said that I'm pregnant. And if I have a girl, you guys are in trouble. If I have a boy, then you're going to be lucky. Obatala, or Rishala, looked into the womb of Oshun and saw a little girl. He transformed the little girl into a little boy. And that boy is now known as Eshu Odara. Eshu is the divine messenger. Eshu is linked to the Kemetic deity Sebek. And Sebek is a jackal linked to the planet Mercury and the crocodile. Wild crocodile. You gotta go. Wild crocodile. Because the crocodile was the guardian of the thresholds. Alright, Ife Tayo. Her name has something to do with love. Something that we have to bring back into our community. Love. Going back to the Oshun energy. You gotta bring that love. You have to care. That's Yemoja energy. Yemoja is linked to the deity Aset. Aset is the mother of the living. Aset cares and nourishes creation. She cared for us all. She'll bring his pieces back together. It's that care part that helps you to remember. If you don't care, you're not going to remember. The one thing that we got to bring back into our community is care. A lot of us is seeing effort. We're so used to not being cared about that we're losing that part of ourselves where we care. So materialism and everything else is creating a mechanical way of life amongst us. And it's becoming less and less organic.
Yeah.
So you got to rebuild the emotional body. You got to fix it. You got to heal it. You have to care. So this is where we deal with the Yemoja energy. Yemoja is the mother of the fish. Life comes out of the water, from out of the womb. On top of Aset's head in the Medunetta oracle, you notice that the throne is the color blue because it represents the waters of life. Aset is also linked to the Virgin Mary. Also we get Marine. She was the patroness of those who set ships.
How do you build the emotional body?
Well, first you have to care. You have to bring back care into your life. Because we've been taught not to care. Everything around you is only about self-preservation. But you have to care about what it is you're doing. Let me tell you something about your oppressor. One of the reasons why they're at the top is because they care about what they're doing. You see what I mean? They care about what they're doing. even though we think it's twisted, even though we think it's screwed up, we look at it as being a bad thing. They look at what they're doing as being a good thing. Why? Because they don't have nothing to worry about. So they think. But they care about it, and they have a vision of what they want the world to look like. And it might not be in our interest, but they care about that vision. We have to care. If you want to have black people that we talking like, you got to care about black people. How you go build something and you don't care about the people that you're trying to work with? It's just all about you, and that's why everybody's failing, because they don't care. We don't even care about our families, but we want to build a community. That doesn't work. You don't care about your mother and your father. You don't honor them. Then wonder why everything is failing. Let me tell you something. I did a reading for somebody not too long ago, and it turns out that every once in a while, in fact, I'm just going to call it out. Every once in a while, I find out that somebody has cancer. And there's been times when like Ofun shows up, showing that they have to connect with the Father. Their hatred for their Father has developed in cancer into their body. Yes. So there's psychosomatic illnesses that come with you not caring. You're not honoring your mother and your father. And we've been taught not to honor our father. The system wants to turn you against the father all the time. And then you end up hating your mother in the process, because your mother, she's going through all this stress. You look like the father. She's taking her anger out on you. So it creates havoc if you don't care, but you have to also forgive. You have to forgive our parents.
And that transgresses the seventh universal law of gender, or the generative principle. So when you're dealing with, like mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender.
Say that again, but say it way louder though.
Okay. That's transgressing the seventh law, gender. So that's dealing with the seven universal laws are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender, as found in the Kabbalion, and also found in the Emerald Tablets, a lot of ancient works. Those are the seven universal laws. He's talking about the generative principle. In Masonry, that's what they're talking about too. That G stands for the that's one of the meanings, is the generative principle. So that's all I wanted to interject into that.
To add on to that, man, it's one of the things when you talk about caring, we have to make sure that we make the transition back to having a balance between masculine and feminine, energies. And a lot of times when we talk about feminine energy, we automatically associate that with female or woman, but it's not.
Right.
Feminine energies are nurturing energies, they're builders. Just like masculine energies are protecting energies. I mean, you can just look it up. I mean, it's all set up in kinetic sciences, you know what I'm saying? But we made an official pact amongst enslaved people when we were brought into slavery, that we're going to fight white patriarchal supremacy with black patriarchy. So we're going to put our men in the front and have them, fight. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to put the women back and then have them take care of the homes, and then they'll take care of the children. So we wanted to fight patriarchy. The patriarchy, that was a move, which sets us like totally different than our original, like, nature, way of life, which is egalitarian, which is there is no set gender roles. That's why when you go see the movie like Black Panther, we saw a lot of female warriors or women warriors, and we're like, oh my God, that's just how it was. That's how we got down. Like we didn't get down yet. We were egalitarian. It was like who could fit the role that needed to be done. So we got to get back and always get away from always thinking that a man has to do this, and because we're limiting ourselves. Our women were warriors, our men were warriors, our men were herbalists and healers, our women were healers, but we're getting further and further away from our feminine principles. So if you look at capoeira or stuff like that, there's masculine moves and there's feminine moves. A masculine move attacks, bah, 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 but a feminine move is going to use your own energy and sway it back to you. And a lot of times, when we're fighting, we don't even know what was going. We can't really checkmate because we're not using our feminine moves. A sway, like water, like it gives into the actual container that it's in. So a lot of and we got to pay attention to astrology too, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio.
The water signs.
We are water signs. We're feminine signs. So a lot of times when we fight and we just totally ignore our feminine side, we're going against our strengths. Your strength as a water sign, you're a Scorpio, right? Your strength is in your feminine principles. It really is. We're nurturers. We're empaths. So wherever you take me, I'm going to flip it back onto you. It's not even I have to strike. I'm going to use your energy against you. Pow.
Right.
Chapow. Chapow. You know what I'm saying? And people, a lot of people be like, oh, I don't want to be, that's gay, or I don't want to be feminine. I don't want to be woman. No, feminine principles it's in you. It's water. It's a flow. It's dancing.
Yeah. It's the science of Mother Earth and Father Time. We're talking about time and space. That's when you're talking about, you know, the positive and negative poles. You're really talking about what happens if it's the same thing. What happens if you go ad infinitum in time? You have infinity, right? Or eternity, rather. If you go ad infinitum into space, you have infinity. What's the difference between infinity and eternity? You know what I mean? There's an inequality there.
I say.
You know, so that's.
So you understand why we have to taste the honey?
I'll share.
We have to taste the sweetness. That is, we have to taste
Sweet and sour.
There it is.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Because we had left out the sweetness. You dealt with the sour.
Yeah.
You left out the hot. You left out the sweetness. So you want to bring in the feminine energy. You know, it's yielding, but it's powerful. Right? Like the brother we mentioned. God said that you put the water in the container and it will take the form of the container it's in. But you unleash a tsunami, it'll wipe out a whole city.
Yep.
Just because it takes the form of a container doesn't mean it's weak. See, we think that, like you talked about the whole principle that everyone who infiltrates the devil's institutions is a top. That's not true. Just spook the sap out the door. Be that water. You know what I'm saying? Be the shape of the container you're in. That's exactly how they got us.
Yeah.
Feminine principles.
For real.
Exactly.
Religion is a feminine principle. It's a feminine principle. First they brought in the Bibles and then they brought in the rifles. Yeah. But in the beginning, they messed with our mind.
And a lot of people don't remember there's a lot of expansion during that time in medieval Africa. You know, when you're talking about the Songhai Empire, and you're talking about all these empires, there were land grabs. So I mean, when we're talking about resources, money, the etymology of the word money comes from the Latin root monera. Monera was a temple in Rome, and that's where they minted their money, and it was dedicated to the goddess Juno. Juno is the analog to Isis. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the feminine principle again. So resource acquisition, anything that we need, like time and space. Space, land is dealing with the feminine principle. You know, like that capoeira, you know, negativa. That's utilizing your space in ways that are essential. That's strategy. Strategy is a feminine principle.
I say. And you know, interestingly enough, this how on point everybody is. The Hopi Indians had a prophecy, and they mentioned all the other races, and only one race forgot what they were supposed to do. And that was the black race. They said that the white race, the white race was supposed to deal with fire. The yellow race was supposed to deal with wind. The red race was supposed to deal with earth. And guess what? The black race was supposed to deal with water. And they say that the black man forgot.
Yeah.
There it is. We forgot about our feminine principle, the water. I'm serious, man. As a Scorpio and as a Pisces,
I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah, I know you're a Scorpio too. Yeah, that's why I was.
I'm a Pisces.
There it is, man. There you go. The feminine principle is real, bro.
And that
you really gotta use it, bro.
And that makes so much sense, because if you look at our ancient ancestors and everything they built, they became, you know, like cement. There was no more wiggle room. You know, if this is the way we've done it for the last 50,000 years, you know, and this is how we're doing it. If there's no room to move and groove and to weigh and to sway, then, you know.
Peace, bro. I gotta head out.
Yeah, I gotta get ready.
All right, as well. I see you over here in deep thought. I was over here in deep thought. Yeah, peace, brother. Let's see you. I ain't seen you in a while.
Yeah, we got to talk,
brother.
man.
Hey, see you next time.
Peace.
I just gotta walk him out.
Yeah.
I just want to.
Yeah, come on.
You gonna ask?
That goes to the feminine principle that the black man forgot. The water.
Yes.
What was he supposed to remember to do with the feminine principle of water?
Take any form necessary at that particular time. Like Bruce Lee said, be like water. Be like water takes the form of its container, but it's the most powerful of the elements once it's unleashed. It can put out fire, it can break through stone. It can give you life, it can drown you. The wind blows it, it becomes waves. It can freeze, it can rise, it can come back down in the form of rain.
And it's hard when we get emotionally disrupted. Like when she came home from school, it broke into you, right? But like, what would your grandma have said, your great grandma? She said, "It's okay, baby." And somehow that just always made it right. Grandma, oh, go get you some tea. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like that's also that feminine embodiment. Like we don't have our grandma with us anymore. So like we gotta remember that ease that grandma taught us. And the crazy horse, before he cut the men through, 40 at a time, he didn't go to the war chief. He went, Grandma, what do I do? Grandma said, let me throw something. Let me find out. Let me read something. Let me find out, grandson. Oh yeah, grandson. It's okay, you can kill him now. Then Crazy Horse was like, kill him! And went, killed him. You know what I mean? But like, we had to go back, you know what I mean? Even like, there might be a feminine instructor. I mean, it says in every holy book, the last armies, the great armies, are going to be led by women. It says that.
That's exactly what's...
But it's talking about this. It's talking about being this water. That little petrolwood out there with his little scale and all that dumb shit he's doing. Woman, get behind me, you know. Hey, can we get a woman clean up this mess after he's done fighting in his bar? You know, it's just indecent, you know what I mean? Like shaming his ancestors. That's what shaming the ancestors. That was one part of the text too that got me. He said shaming the ancestors. We remember the feminine, our ancestors are okay with this. They're okay with this.
I think I left my jacket down here too.
That
Sorry,
makes sense?
That's cool.
Kind of. We can go over it.
The logic is good to see.
It's good to see you, man. Let's stay in contact.
You have like,
Sure.
you gotta talk about that deeper, like more and everything. I mean, that's why I'm glad, like tonight, I'm like, man, I'm not trying to like, oh, I gotta go, like you gotta go. I'm just staying till it's over because I want to get, you know.
And I'm not trying to school you at all. Just getting here on time. Thank you for bringing it, Michael. Too. We really got to work on our time because there was a blessing that went here ahead of time that came that you might have missed the link on. You can catch it next time because it's overtime, right, Kwame? It's overtime, space-time continuum. It's any time at any time. But like sometimes being there early before the time, and sometimes it throws you off because you're busy. You want to strike. You want to get out there and do. I like your aggression, but like it's just the rhythm you're looking for, bro. And you're still looking for that rhythm. You mastered some things with that life. You raised her. You got that good thing over there. You got that vehicle. You got that thing to move. But like it's that grace, that una poca de gracia, that'll help you move fluidly like that water. There we go. That's what it is. It's that. And you're hitting it hard like it's weights. Like, and you just need to be like, stretch. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. That's what it is. Wow, I feel good. I just educated myself in that one.
Hey, man, that's
I'm talking to myself. That was an ego death.
You see the power of building in a cycle.
Oh, how wonderful when brothers.
See, the ancestors speak through us.
Yes, sir.
That's why I didn't want to be the only one talking. Because we have the wisdom that's within ourselves. On a collective, we're so much stronger.
And hell yeah, I'm gonna get that shirt, man.
But we go work on a few things now. For the next coming month, I want us to start learning about the energies of Yemoja. In fact, there's a chant, and if people can start getting blue and white candles.
That's funny.
Okay?
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah,
Get some jasmine
I'll
in
be
it.
like with him before he even started talking to him.
And we're going to learn some songs to Yemoja.
Yes.
So we're also going to learn, there's some songs for Eshu that I'm going to teach you, and songs for Yemoja. And eventually we're going to go and we're going to greet the water and pay homage to the mother in the form of Yemoja. Yemoja means the mother of fish.
Greet the water.
Yes. And by the way, your body, 80% of your brain is water. So we got the powers of all the Orishas, aka the Neturu, within ourselves. And they also manifest as the forces of nature.
What is Neteru?
Neteru, the Neter are the Egyptian equivalents of the Orishas.
Root word for nature.
Is where we get the word nature from. You got the same group of consonants, the same three consonants.
Egyptian equivalent of what?
The Orishas. Orishas, they're forces of nature, right? So these deities are around us and within us. So if you accept the holographic model, every part contains the whole. So we don't just deal with oneness, we deal with allness. You see? So that's the misunderstanding that the so-called monotheist religions have tried to push on the so-called polytheist religions or pantheists or whatever. See, these labels, if you really look closely at these so-called religions and look at the history of all these things, all religion means is realigning one with source. That's all it is. Okay? The problem is that there's political terms and political elements that have been placed on religion. But religions are basically spiritual cultivation systems designed to get you to realign with the one or with the all. Monotheist religions deal with oneness. But in reality, you know, African, indigenous spirituality or spiritual cultivation systems deal with allness. That's why we do not put Olodumare in a box. We say that Olodumare is too far away to be understood. In other words, it's too large of a concept to just grasp. That's why there's different aspects of Olodumare. Now, Olodumare dwells within ourselves. Well, we are forms, but there is countless of forms. We're all expressions of the divinity, you see? So it's not outside of us. We are within it, and it is within us. You see? Ashe. So when it comes to African spiritual cultivation, and here's the thing, you're going to see me differentiate between spiritual cultivation and spirituality. The reason why is because spirituality is a very generic catch-all phrase.
Yeah.
Okay? So just because you claim spirituality, it doesn't mean that you're working with a process or formula of spiritual cultivation that will take you to the next level. There's a lot of brain candy out there. A lot of books that's been written by quacks and everything else. Distractions, you know, incorrect information about the chakras and all kinds of stuff out there. Written by, I call them New Age quacks. That's what they are. They take other people's spiritual science and they redefine it like white sugar and give it back to people, and it has no nutrients in it. It's like now you're putting sugar, you might as well be drinking a gallon of sugar because it's rotting your teeth out and making you weak. Right? So some of this stuff was introduced by the CIA and the FBI and everything else. Okay? But the true spiritual cultivation will definitely align you and will awaken and activate the deity within you.
Religare. That's Latin. Re means to do over again. Ligare, same root as ligature, like in your body. To rebind or to retie. That's what the word religion means. Religare, it's religion.
Ashe. So that's what it truly is. A spiritual cultivation system often has steps to it. Because there's a process to this whole thing. You might wake up with psychic abilities, but the reason why that there were teachings and there were like initiations was kind of like to take you through Xavier's institution of, what you call it, the Institute of Mutants or whatever.
Special, what's that?
Hey.
That cat,
Professor Xavier.
That's exactly where he said he was when we didn't see him for a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, brother, you was learning how to cultivate your powers.
Remember that? That's exactly what he
There you
said.
go.
And you know, Stanley was some type of adept, because I mean, some of the stuff he was taking, he either was stealing or he was channeling. He was doing something because you ain't just bringing a lot of the Marvel universe into existence.
Oh yeah. To be able to feel the other. That's to be able to sense them.
Why do you think the brother's name is Professor X? Who's Eshu?
Yep, that's exactly
he
what he is.
Everywhere in in one place and everywhere at the same time. Professor X will put that on
Cerebral.
you get the cerebral, and his mind can be everywhere, passing through all the minds on the planet until he find what he was looking for. He can communicate with you. You can home in on his mind and communicate with him too. You see what I
Communicate
mean?
with the other enlightened people with psychic.
The X is the symbol of Eshu.
Yeah.
With the U or
And then X,
EXU.
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 a
Yeah.
U? Okay.
That's one of the ways.
In the Yoruba, Eshu is the divine messenger because Eshu takes human language and converts that into the language of nature, into the language of the Orishas. You see? That's why you got to go through Eshu first. You got to go to the crossroads. See? You can even take, you can even take all your transgressions to the crossroads. You can take them, you can leave them on the cross.
Before I
There it
came
is.
over here and got a reading for him, out of nowhere, I just took 2 of my eagle feathers I danced with, crossed him, didn't even know. Came over here and he told me, I was like, what? Well, that was like my answer before I even left the house. It's like prayed me in. Like, I don't know.
Today?
No, when I'm way back, not way back, but a little while back. Yeah, I never did that before. Ever did that before. It's already in. It's just remembering. You know what I mean?
Remember.
Yeah.
It's good, and then like what he said, so if we have everybody remember their culture, then it starts to uprising, and they're gonna forget that. That's like the best thing I heard too. So by spreading the spiritual cultivation, we got it on the movie, people watch it on YouTube, we got it on live, there's only a couple people, but if those couple people feel it, then they can continue to spread the culture. Because like, honestly, this is the only culture, only connection I feel is just now. I feel like probably the first time in my life is like,
And that's the
because,
thing.
you know,
And that's the thing. When you get with your culture, when you start to cultivate, we cultivate ourselves collectively through a culture. Things grow in a culture. Microorganisms grow in a culture. Well, all the microorganisms are is just reflection of us being the macroorganisms within a greater macroorganism.
I just feel a lot of similar to what he said, so I can take that back. I feel very connected to my native heritage. Like so much. This is the first time I ever felt to get connected to the African heritage. Ever.
Yeah, bro, you and me both.
Yeah.
I was 7 years old. I was close to, how old is she?
9.
She's 9. Yeah, I was 2 years younger than her. And I went over to my auntie Barbara's house and she just like took that stage and she went, Lord Jesus, like, Lord child, you got a good soul. And she went over my head. My mom wouldn't let me see her again because my mom's Christian. Auntie Barbara has something for me. She told me follow that red bird. You go to them and I got a big box of red-tailed hawk feathers. None of them are red, but they come from a bird called red. You know what I mean? And the red sparrow, the cardinal, it's all over the place. So getting back here, I can't wait. I want to do every step I can. I want to be initiated in this. Now that I got that.
I'm also seeing the Phoenix. She was speaking on the reinvention of oneself, the raising, the cultivation. The red bird.
The Phoenix.
Firebird.
Yeah, fire.
Which is linked to Shango,
Yeah, just like the Shango.
who's the hawk.
Hey.
It was the hawk.
Heru. The owls.
A lot of people don't know that the hawk is linked to Shango.
Our alchemy.
See, and around there from it connects Shango to Heru. Heru means one who rises above. Well, guess what? Shango Rovo means the fire that rises up. You see, they say that Shango hung himself from a tree, died and was resurrected, and then ascended upward and unified and connected with Obatala. The Son and the Father became one. It's a process that takes place within yourself. So the red representing Shango before he's connected with the white was with Obatala. And they merged. Like, go ahead, finish it, brother. Adi.
Pardon for herself. No, I mean, please. Because I had another thought. And so you just, It's the same thought, but I mean,
So you're looking at Heru. When Heru becomes the uniter of the higher and lower part of himself, which is the two lands, He wears the red and white crown. He becomes Heru Samai Tawi. Heru, the unifier of the two lands. So you're here to unify the higher with the lower. You're here to unify your physical self with your mind. We're here to unify this mind with the higher mind. You're here to unify yourself with your destiny. See? And that's the strength in which we are looking for. When you are unified with your destiny, you will be tapping into unlimited power. The reason why a lot of us are dying, the reason why a lot of us don't know, is because we're not given a sense of destiny as we're growing up. We are not taught that we have destiny. When you tap into the fact that you have a destiny, and you go and find out what that is, and you strive to align with it, you make the proper sacrifices to align with your destiny.
And that's the science of life. When, you know, in the lessons in the mathematics, that's 1, 2, and 3: knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's taking that first part, you Shango, you know, and then you have that's time. You know, both sides are time. You know, you have time and space. So the middle part is going through that realm, that space, this earth, and being able to go get from, and that's wisdom, you know, and then getting to understanding, which is that best part, being able to elevate from that knowledge space and to the understanding space. So I'm not sure. Are you hip to the math?
To that.
Yeah. So,
Leg, which
to the mathematics. Okay.
It's something
we'll
that
build
we're
on
all
it.
gonna build on. And that's the thing. When we share knowledge, that's how we grow.
Yeah. Yes,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not, like I said earlier, it's not about comparing, it's about relating.
That's all it's.
I'm not here to get ahead of this man. He's not here to get ahead of me. But yet we have teachings.
I share.
Yeah.
See? So, right here, you know, you're learning about how to work with the ancestors.
Yes,
Why is that important? Like I said, and I can't stress it enough, when you work with your ancestors and you remember, you bring the pieces of Asar back together within yourself. Because what Asar represents is the awakened ancestor. That's why he's mummified.
The understanding. That's yes, sir.
You see? So you have to resurrect the Asar within you.
The awakening ancestor or the awakening?
I saw the God.
The God within
the highest self.
You become the awakened ancestor.
Okay.
And the ancestors go all the way back to the Big Bang and back to God. By awakening the ancestral spirit within you, you awaken the God within yourself.
And that's why the phallus is no longer, like, that was the unfound piece. Because we actually are the phallus. I mean, effectively, you know, that we are that awakened part. We are that resurrected. We are resurrected. So that's the science of the missing phallus. We are the missing phallus.
They say that the best way to hide the knowledge from humans is to put it within them. And God said that the best place to hide the knowledge from humans is to put it in the last place they would look, and that is within themselves.
Oh, Lord.
So that's how you see that knowledge which is hidden in plain sight. A lot of this knowledge is in plain sight, but until you have awakened to see the things within yourself, the knowledge is going to remain right in front of you, yet hidden from you at the same time. Hence, we got Amun Ra, the ability to see the hidden in plain sight. That which is hidden in plain sight. Amun Ra.
Just right up there.
Yes. There's all kind of buildings and all kind of language around you. If you go and look at the cathedrals, they talk about the cathedrals that was built by the Cathars in Europe. Those buildings are basically paragraphs and stories of alchemy.
Oh, yeah.
Hidden right in front of you in plain sight.
It's frozen music.
Frozen music.
So, oh, yeah.
I share.
One of the aspects or definition of Amun Ra is the ability to see things hidden in plain sight.
Amun means the hidden, and Ra is that which is the reveal, that which shines. So you have that which is hidden and that which shines. That which is hidden and that which shines. So Amun Ra is the hidden and Ra is the seen. You have to understand the hidden aspects in order to see the things around you. The third Odu in Ifa, according to the Odirimo construct, we call it Iwori Meji. It's called the deep seer. And it says, look around you and see what affects you. So you have to develop the divine insight in order to see. That's why you develop intuition. You have to intuit. You have to get into it. You have to intuit. You have to unify the two brain hemispheres, dealing with the reasoning and the intuitive, where you reason and you have intuition to go along with it. Because what happens if you only deal with reason, if you only deal with what we think is just plain cold logic, right? Without a balance, what'll happen is that your mind will only see division. Your mind will only see that which divides. And this is what's wrong with our conscious community, because a lot of us only develop the intellect, and all we see is division.
So with the ray sun, you literally are only one ray from a larger sun. So you can only have one ray at any given time. The ray sun. Yeah.
This is where you have to basically be correct.
Yes.
Because you have direction. Erection is that which is straight. So when something is corrected, it's straight to the core.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also you have the prefix ko. So if you're able to, if it's true over here, it's true over there, you have ways of being able to check things because it works on more than one level. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's correct.
And you get correct.
Yeah.
So you see. So you see.
This is word magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Word alchemy.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about resurrection, the Holy Bible talks about that which is made crooked will be made straight. So when something is resurrected, that means straightness has been restored. The scales of Ma'at, meaning that the heart and the feather is balanced by a straight beam.
Yeah. Yes.
You see?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That's what in Islam they talk about al-Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight and narrow. Because you have to bring the balance. You have to bring in Ma'at. That's why the rightly guided one is called the Mahdi. The Mahdi.
Think about, yeah, like even in Doom, that's what the Mu'adi. Very, very similar.
So we have to bring back the balance within ourselves. The society in which we live in is imbalanced. So we have to keep that balance within ourselves. The social order right now is to keep you off balance. So you have to basically be Haru and struggle to reach that level and get to that balance. It's the dance that we have to learn. The dance of Shiva.
Yeah, dance of Shiva. In the ring of fire.
And we call that the dance of Shango. In fact, some would even say that Shango and Shiva is the same deity.
I can see that.
But keep in mind, there's the historical Shango of Oyo, and there's Shango the Irumale. It's not, you can say that the historical Shango could be considered an incarnation of the Irumale.
Oh, right. The Irumale, they resurrected from the tree to join the Batala above. Is that what you mean? Like, you mean...
The Irumale is kind of like the Orisha, the ideal, the divine ideal. And then the incarnate piece is the human form.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the story about the fourth emperor of Oyo. They say that he was the historical Shango because they say he had a very, very fiery attitude. He had a fiery temper. So the story is that he caused two of his generals to fight to the death. The one came after him, right? And out of shame, they say he hanged himself. And some would say that the priesthood deified him. But you see, there was already a Shango previous to that. Shango is Jakuta, as the force of nature, which is fire. That's not even man, that is the force of nature. But it's intelligent in and of itself. Yes.
The generals that killed the army.
There's the army, it's the army of Oyo. Because Shango was the head of the army of Oyo. Just look it up, that's his story. He built an empire, Oyo.
O-Y-E?
O-Y-O, it's Oyo.
What can
In fact, my great-great-grandmother had a connection with the Ewe Fan, right? Her name was Marie Therese Coin, or Koi. People thought it was Native American, but it was actually Ewe Fan. Her ancestors come from Africa. And she was Ewe Fan. The Ewe Fan people once lived in Oyo. They were attacked and eventually driven down. Where now they're in Togo.
Yeah, what?
They're in Togo. And I'm gonna tell you something. Togo, yeah, Togo and parts of Ghana.
Yeah.
So there's another interesting story, and I was watching where my cousin sent me something about the Ewe people. And they said that they worshipped another deity called Ewe.
Oh.
And they were saying that Ewe is also known as the Ewe people. Some would say it's connected to Ife.
How do you spell that?
Ife.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Ewe, E-V-A, and E-W-A, or E-W-E, E-V-E, E-W-E, and for Yeve, which is the deity, is Y-E-V-E. And they said that Yeve was the supreme deity. And then he turned around before the video went off and said that Yeve was a god of thunder and lightning.
Oh, like Yahweh.
Yeah. And he has a fiery temper. Hey, you know, we'll get into something. We'll talk about that some other time. But the bottom line is that I made a connection with my ancestors down there, and they call their tradition that they practice voodoo.
Because I was the Veves. Right, that's true. Okay. Yeah, I want to chop it up with you about that too. Yeah.
My head is in a tiny break. My head is, my Orisha is way up there, but my brain is knowledge out. It's
like
good and educated. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Oh, I give thanks and praise.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was showing it to you. I'm sorry about that. I'll make you one.
Oh, this is Mojo?
Yeah. I was showing you because we were speaking on
Nice.
Louisiana. Yeah.
You got the Mojo bag.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Got a master hand right here. So.
Okay.
Yeah, if you would like one, I would be honored to make one. Okay.
I'd be honored to receive that.
I should. Yeah. I ain't letting everybody touch my Mojo bag. That's why.
I'm honored that you let me see.
She was asking a question. You want to see what was going on?
Oh, it was a Mojo bag. So that's, my family, both of our families are from Louisiana. And, there's a whole hoodoo, is voodoo, like Louisiana or New Orleans Creole, voodoo.
Which is what Coco practices, which is why we want to bring the years.
Oh, okay.
Big company stuff.
I'd love to meet the brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right, yeah.
Did you say, okay, wait a minute. Now, you said he also had his hand of Ifa?
I believe so.
How'd the brother come through, man? I'd love to talk to him. Let's chop it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get various people
Hopefully he'll be there.
with ATRs to come and let's break bread. Have
My little brother's coming.
African tradition.
You guys know me, my little brother.
I didn't know
bring
that.
him on through.
Yeah.
I discovered that my cousin was, deals with the signs of Mami Wata. That's another.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of beautiful things that we have in our bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to also, learn about things, because I hear people saying that, and this is why I have to challenge people who say that there was no connection with Africa, but we see that there's all these Orishas being worshipped, or should I say paid homage to, all up in the Caribbean, all up in South America, all up in Cuba. There's Orisha stuff all up in there. Right now they're trying to spread Protestantism through Brazil to get rid of the Orisha traditions over there. So we might need to go and learn about these traditions, learn about this knowledge, and resurrect this knowledge amongst us, within ourselves. Because this is our ancestors calling us back home. You see what I mean? And if and for us who have Native American blood, learn about that. Learn about that. You know? So I say, it's good to know who you are. It's good to know who you are. It's good to have a knowledge of self. If you don't know who you are, you're cut off from that ancestral power. That's why I think it's important. Some people don't think it's important. I hear people say it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, where you're from, it's where you're at. But I have to like disagree with that somewhat and say, well, you want to go as far back as you possibly can to tap into that ancestral memory.
That's right.
Tap into that memory because you want to remember. That's how you bring all the pieces of a star back together so you can resurrect. Cultivate that farm. Cultivate that growth.
And you know, echoing is also important. You were saying, why is echoing so important? My echoing been on my head, like real tough. Ever since I got my hand to V5, they stop talking to you. They get real tough. So I get called to, you know, go see my Rosie grandma, who, you know, and clean, make sure, you know, I give her some white flowers. You know, I clean up her headstone. Like I start getting called, you know, in that relationship. It's basically building a relationship with those who no longer have bodies. That's how I'm seeing it. Basically,
what is the word that you describe that?
Egun is
build a relationship with those who don't have bodies.
Yeah, with our ancestors who no longer have earth bodies, as it was.
Spell that over
Egun?
Well,
E-G-U-N.
Yeah.
And there's also a word meaning bone.
Mm.
By the way, you might want to make sure that you're getting the proper amounts of vitamin D.
Mm.
Because if your bones are messed up, that's an indication that there's a disconnection with your ancestors.
Mm.
Egun also means bone.
That's good to know.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's make sure that our bones are strong. Let's get the right amount of calcium. I'm not saying go and garf down some or just cause milk with all the poison they got in it. But learn about the foods with calcium.
Right.
You know, a lot of us need certain things that we've been lacking. It's all holistic. We got to make sure that we are living holistically because we got away from our holistic way of thinking. And a lot of it is directly linked to how we've been cultivated. And I'm not here to crap on people who practice the Protestant way. But Martin Luther didn't intend for them to strip those churches down like that and leave the churches all dull looking on the inside. Because what they did when they did that, they took away the mystical feel of being inside of a church.
It's Calvinism,
You know, like Calvinism and all that other stuff. That's not what Martin Luther wanted. He's a German dude.
Yeah.
He was just going against the Catholic Church because the Pope was acting corrupt. He was corrupt. He was being himself corrupt. So he was going against, he challenged the Pope. But he didn't say strip it all down and you now got everybody scared of a symbol because now people are practicing iconoclasm. They're iconoclasts. So every symbol to them belongs to the devil. That's not how we think. We communicate with symbols. So if we become symbolically illiterate, think everything belongs to the devil, then we have shut down that part of our faculty of being able to read between the lines and read past things. And overstand. To understand, overstand, understand, and understand. To stand. To have a foundation. So, you know, we have to understand how to read the symbols.
Yes.
How to read the hieroglyphics that are still around us.
That's true.
And how to look at how trees and things are arranged on a hill and understand that that's a word. That's the universe speaking to us. For those who are the observer can pay attention to what the universe has to tell us. If we're not focusing on the universe, how can you graduate from the university of life?
That's true.
But first you have to start with elementary. You have to study the elements and just build up to having a full understanding of the universe. And when you graduate, you get your mortar cap and your gown.
Yes,
and you
sir.
get your scroll.
Yes,
You understand
sir.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because now you have become a builder of society.
And the builders of society are super symbol literate. I mean, even the stop sign right outside. You know, think about how many things are going on there. You have a hexagram or a hexagon. Hex. That's literally meaning to stop. It's a sigil. So you have the color red, which is the slowest waveform in existence. You know, which it means to slow down, to stop. Then you have a word sign. You know, you have the serpent. You have which is what the S is. And then, the word stops. So you're being controlled by sigils and signs and symbols all the time that we do not understand. But these things are all over the place. There's a reason why blocks are square. There's a reason why buildings are phallic. There's a reason why grids, how cities are built in grids. It's all mind control. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I can feel my ancestors, and the communication that I'm getting is that we have to forgive our fathers. Okay? I know it's hard because we've been taught to think they ain't shit, but we have to forgive our fathers. Okay? Because that DNA is within us. We have to forgive them. Okay? I'm not saying you gotta go and kiss their butt. I'm just saying the forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Okay? So that your energy will be corrected. That's the message that I'm getting from the ancestors. Okay? Forgive your father. Forgive him. You ain't got to call him or nothing.
Oh, just forgive him
Just
from far
forgive.
away? Yeah, I don't even want to go.
I'm
really real.
Forgive him from far away.
I love you, man. I said it on Facebook yesterday.
Yeah. So, don't hold that anger towards your father for the rest of your life. That's the message that I just got. I felt the pain literally go up my left foot. Because that's what they want us to do. That's why it's not closing. Forgive your father. It's not a joke. If you want to heal, forgive your father. I'm not going to just say some random shit. If you want to heal, forgive your father. Because we were taught to hate our fathers. I'm going to tell you something. When I was growing up, my father wasn't in my life. I wasn't even tripping about my dad till I heard all these people start talking about, your dad wasn't around and we know it pains you and bothers you. I wasn't even thinking about that man. Somebody, until somebody, and then I said, well, maybe I am mad at my dad. I didn't know him. I'm not going to be mad. The only thing I could say, people got to be mad because your mom was kicking your butt because he wasn't around. Now, I could see the anger in that. But, I was wondering, there's times that I wondered, but I knew, I'm going to tell you something. I can look at my mother and father and I knew they weren't supposed to be together. You're lucky that you're even here. Father did his job. Maybe he wasn't supposed to remain there by your mother. Maybe there's issues that they had that only they knew, but you have to, because if you have children, you don't want to pass that curse on to your son growing up and not loving you and hating you because of a misunderstanding or a one-sided thing. Because this society wants to destroy us as fathers too. So let's forgive the father. Honor your mother and your father. That's not just in the Bible. That's in the Yoruba teachings too. Honor your mother and father. Because, like I said before, I know people who are developing ailments, cancers in their body because they hate one of their parents. I'm not bull crapping. You see what I mean? Yes, people are developing illnesses in their body because they hate one of their parents. So like I said, the forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
One thing that really helped me, getting past the father thing, is writing a letter. I wrote a letter to him, and then I took it to a tree, and I put it in a little thing, and I burned it. And that, felt like it was lifted. It was a good, it was a letter. It was a straight up, and I got all of that out. And I just sat down and wrote it, and put thought into it and intention, and then I just burned it up, and that works. Or worked for me rather. So.
Yes. It was, even if they were ignorant. Even if somebody left you on the garbage can, you're lucky she didn't kill you.
Sure.
I know it sounds hard, but how you go heal your community? You know your ancestors were put through slavery. You know that they were taught self-hate. You know that they were passed. We gotta break the cycle. We gotta break the cycle. Because in Africa and in indigenous traditions, Native American and everything else, there's great regard and respect for the elder. We know that the elders were not perfect, but the elders had wisdom and experience. You see what I mean? And there's a special bond between the elder and the child. The elder is returning to the land of the ancestors, and the child just came from the land of the ancestors. You see? How you go build a community and you have such hatred and animosity in your family? Right? We got people, sometimes, don't try to argue with your cousin who you don't get along with. Just go to your ancestors and say, I have a problem with my cousin. I want to resolve it. We hold grudges, which is why we come up with all these illnesses. We don't forgive. Like I say, people say, oh, well, I ain't forgiving. Well, you can keep that arrogance if you want to. Keep it. Then wonder why our community remains sick, why we can't get along. We're holding grudges against each other. We taught, so we taught to not forgive our father, who we're actually an extension of genetically, which means you haven't forgiven part of yourself.
I didn't meet my dad till I was 8, but like when I met him, had a lot of the same mannerisms, a lot of like we speak the same. There's just a lot of things that are just in your blood that just are.
Yeah. Your mother's like an Orisha to you. Don't quote this, so we have to honor our parents. Mother, she's the part of that brought you here. We can all work on that. We weren't taught how to honor our parents. We were taught how to, we see all the stuff on TV that shows all the youth being superheroes nowadays. They ain't nothing but a bunch of teenagers superheroes to the point that everybody young think they're a superhero. They don't have the elders being anywhere in half the times. A lot of times in the cartoons, all the elders are killed off. The X-Men is looking younger and younger. Every time I see a new X-Men cartoon, shoot, pretty soon they go be toddlers. You see Tyler, Magneto fighting Tyler Xavier. So, no, that's it. Because they focus on the youth here, and I'm not saying for us not to focus on the youth. Yes, we need to build a youth movement, but let's keep it in perspective, okay? We don't want to forget the elders and just focus on the youth. You don't want to forget those returning to the land of the ancestors who are going to come back as youth, okay? So let's keep it holistic. Let's understand the cycle of life. That's the African way. That's the indigenous. Any indigenous culture before they basically ran across Europeans, with their atheism or their Protestant movement, or their Catholic movement, they understood that there was a connection to the planet and there was a connection to cycles. They understood that things is cyclical. Then you had somebody named Gregory who came up with a Gregorian chant and told everybody, oh, we need to have linear thought because there has to be a beginning and there has to be an end. So therefore, this gives Jesus a job, because if you didn't have this idea of linear thought, you'll see things working in cycles, and it puts you closer to what they call the mystical understanding of things, which science we're trying to avoid, but now they're returning back to what people consider to be mystical through quantum physics and astrophysics, quantum physics, and everything else. All these things is pointing right to the same mystical teachings that they've been trying to debunk.
The theory of the quantum entanglement. The theory of quantum entanglement is somebody near you, their energy protons and molecules react with yours and become mixed, and then anywhere you go in the world, they can simultaneously transmit communication. And that proves through science, spirituality through science right there. What the church and the people would say, oh, that's magic, that's bad. No, what is a scientific explanation for people communicating from different distances away?
It's real talk.
Quantum entanglement.
So, separation and differentiation, these are illusions, but they also allow us to have unique individual experience. So there's nothing wrong with having uniqueness. We just have to understand our uniqueness. Uniqueness versus divisive thought, right? But divide and multiply are mathematical laws. But you have to understand that there's a difference because it's balanced by the multiplication.
Yeah, sure.
You see what I mean? So, my son right there, okay? Now he is other gifted. He has a lot of my mannerisms. He makes a lot of my facial expressions. And people tell me that all the time. He looks like his mom, but he makes a lot of my facial expressions. I see him ponder upon things like I used to do. You see? So this is why we have to forgive our mother and father. We have to forgive our fathers. Because they're gonna, there's no need for us to go along with dogging out the father all the time. Like I said, it's not easy for fathers either.
Sure.
Because this system plans on destroying the family unit. They have destroyed the family unit.
Oh, yeah.
Which is destroying the community so that everybody can be a consumer.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason behind it.
Yeah.
So they have miseducated us about the nature of math. They have miseducated us about the nature of economics. They have miseducated us about the nature of family. So here's the thing. Getting back to the original topic of tonight, set up an ancestral shrine. And here's an assignment that you should give yourself, and that is get the obituaries of your parents, you should great-grandparents, uncles, those in your bloodline, and write them down and call upon their names. Remember your ancestors. Bring the pieces of the bazaar back together within yourself. Remember, bring back his members. Each and every one of us should learn the lineage. Because a lot of us, I remember being a Muslim, everybody could name the Prophet Muhammad's whole family and don't even know their great-grandmother's name. It don't make any sense. They'll talk about the Yaqub Bait and all that. They don't know their grandmother. They don't know their great-grandmother's name. Learn who these people are.
Can you say that part you said about bring back, remember, our